Hey friendlies, it's Carolyn and welcome back to my RV life. Welcome to part 3 of my Lake Shawnee Abandoned Amusement Park series. Last time we sat down with the owner Jewell White and a local historian Patricia Smith and learned about the history of Lake Shawnee that dates back thousands and thousands of years and up until present day and what mysteries this property holds. Well, today we're going to hear their personal experiences about what they think are the spirits who still hang out on these lands. And we're going to hear directly from them some things that just can't be explained about Lake Shawnee as the mystery continues. This is part 3 of a 5-part series. So if you haven't seen the first 2, you can click up there to see the first two videos of this series. And stay tuned in number 4, which to me, I love learning and I love history, but number 4 was just so much fun. I got to meet 2 local psychic mediums, and we walked around the amusement park on Friday the 13th at night, and it was a lot of fun. I got to hang out with them. I got to film and witness and ask questions of the spirits that they say were communicating with them and trying to reach out to all of us. Stay tuned, that's in video 4, but first you have to hear these stories from Jewell and Patricia. Wow, Jewell, there's really a lot of history on Lake Shawnee, and I've heard that you also have experienced some things that can't be explained and that you might even have your own spirit here at Lake Shawnee.
Well, I have a brave that stays with me, especially whenever I'm sick or anything. I can usually tell that he's around. The first time I seen him, I was laying on the couch and not feeling good. And my husband was sick, and he was sitting in his chair beside the couch. And I felt something brush the side of my face. And I asked him, I said, "Did you just touch me?" And he said, "No, I didn't." And then he said, "But," and he looked towards the doors that was at the end of the trailer, sliding glass door. And I looked up at the door too, and there was an Indian brave standing there looking at me.
Wow. And how do you know he was a brave?
Because of the way he was dressed. He had no shirt. It was just the short clothes that he had on, and he was holding like an arrow of some type, a long spear or whatever. And he's just standing there.
So does this brave visit you often?
Yes. Yeah.
So you
if I feel like that something's maybe going to happen or something like that, he reassures me that everything's okay.
Really? And it really helps?
And I think that he takes care of everything on the outside. Everything that's outside of my home and all that, to where
wow.
It's usually it turns out safe.
Before you bought the property, did you believe in spirits? Did you believe that people who had passed on came back to visit you? Was this something, or was this just you kind of got here and they're like, holy cow, look what's happening?
No, I've always believed.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't a surprise when
I was kind of accustomed to it, but my husband wasn't.
Okay.
And that's why when the little girl was riding with him on the tractor, it became such a shock.
Jewell White used to work here. Now he owns the park. First time he saw the little girl ghost, he was on a tractor mowing the grass.
I felt the presence of something around me all day. And it was getting late in the evening when I felt the pressure getting greater on me.
Something touched his arm.
And then I turned around and looked, and there was a little girl. She was looking at me. She had a bead dress on, and she appeared to be about 8 years old. I couldn't believe what I seen.
At first he was scared and just wanted to get away, but he couldn't help turning around for another look.
She was still on my tractor and just smiling at me. Well, about 50 years ago, there was a little girl, 8 years old, that was riding a swing, and there was a soft drink truck that backed out from the concession stand, and when it backed out in the way of the swings turning. She hit the back of the soft drink truck.
Gave her the tractor.
Aww. What do you mean gave her the tractor?
Well, when he got off of it about the 3rd time that he had looked over his shoulder and decided he was getting off the tractor to come home, as he walked away, he turned around and looked again, and she was still there on the tractor. So he took his keys and he threw them to her and he told her, said, and his words were, "Honey, if you like that tractor that much, you can have it."
He sounds like a hoot. Did she catch the keys?
We don't know. We never found them.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yes. So the psychics have to talk to her about things that she wants to play with and stuff. And keys are one of the things.
So when we got in Jewel's car to come down here, she told me that, and she's like, "That's a story I'm going to have to tell you later." She likes keys. So keys disappear? Is
Well,
that a...
people lose them, yes.
Wow.
But everybody else has been able to find them. And we're the only ones that haven't been able to find the ones to the tractor.
You've never found the keys to the tractor?
No. But I do have somebody, usually every dark carnival, somebody comes up with a key, and here they come with it to see if it fits the tractor.
That's a great story. I love these stories. I'm here with Patricia Smith today. Lake Shawnee is behind me, and I hear that you have a story, a personal experience with something that can't necessarily be explained.
Exactly. When I was 5, they had a swimming pool here. It had a dirt bottom. Later on, they concreted the bottom and made it more like a regular pool. But when I was little, it was a swimming hole, more or less. There was a bathhouse where you changed your clothes and put your bathing suit on and, came out and went into the swimming hole. And I was in there with my father, walking alongside my father. And I was 5.5 years old. The reason I know the date exactly is because my mother was pregnant with my brother, and he was born in November of 1948. So I know it was the summer of 48, which sounds like the movie. And I was walking alongside my dad, and all of a sudden something grabbed my leg and pulled me into a big, deep hole. And so my dad, just reached down thinking I had just stumbled or whatever, and he couldn't find me, and he had to go underwater and actually fill around and pull me out of this hole. And the reason this got embedded in my mind, other than the fear itself of a 5-year-old thinking they're about to die, was when he pulled me out, and he actually pulled me by the hair of my head and pulled me up. I was gasping and choking and having the typical reaction of someone who's under the water too long. My mother was standing there with her hands up on the chain link fence, screaming bloody murder. And never before or ever since have I heard my mom scream like that. And so that sort of really embedded in my mind that something bad had just happened. I was 5.5. I never went in the water until I was 12. Wow. They would come down here. I would refuse to go in. I wouldn't even come inside the chain link fence. And we would go to other places. There were other lakes and stuff around that the family would go on Sunday picnics and stuff. Not me. I wouldn't put a foot in the water. What pulled me in the hole? People have said, oh, maybe a catfish. I don't know how big a catfish would have to be to pull a 5-year-old, who weighed probably, 5-year-olds weigh 50, 60, 70 pounds. Yeah. And, and it was a deep hole. And Lake Shawnee officials said they didn't know that deep hole was there. So wow. What happened? I don't know. Eventually, they concreted it over very shortly thereafter, and I've often wondered if, I found that out later, but I often wondered if that's what, made them concrete the bottom of the pool.
Is that the same hole that the boy who lost his life got stuck in and his arm got stuck?
No, he got stuck in the actual drain.
Oh, wow. Ooh, okay.
His mom dropped him off here at 11 o'clock in the morning, came back at 5:30, and he wasn't here. And they didn't find him till 10:30 that night, and his arm was down in the drain. So, things have happened here, and I've told this story here, and I've had a lot of people tell me I almost drowned here. Maybe people didn't want people here enjoying the pool. I don't know.
And that's really interesting that you say that, because everything that I have heard here have been that all of the spirits are very benevolent. However,
that's what I've heard too.
And it's almost hard to believe, with an Indian burial ground here and an Indian massacre, which is a very angry event, it wouldn't be surprising that everything here is not benevolent.
Right,
that there might actually be some
angry spirits.
Thank you. Yes, some angry spirits. Your dad was able to, did he dive in and pull you out?
Yes, basically.
Oh my goodness.
By the hair, I remember that.
Wow.
Luckily I had long hair.
That would traumatize.
And it hurt. He's pulling me out by my hair. It hurt.
Wow.
So-
So you were actually almost, I mean,
I was totally underwater in a
so-
hole.
And it almost seems like, I mean, if somebody pulls you by the hair in the water, you know, you move pretty easily. So it almost sounds like maybe you were getting sucked down.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Oh, that's so scary.
It was scary, and sometimes telling the story, I get goosebumps.
I bet you
You know,
do.
kind of get revulsion.
Yeah.
You know,
Do you
so.
ever try to, or go back to that day to try to really get what it was, or is that just a little too scary?
Many times. And
Yeah.
I mean, people, like I say, the biggest suggestion and the most frequent suggestion I've had, other than some spirit, was a catfish. But I just can't imagine a catfish having enough power to pull a 5-year-old child,
Yeah.
you know, into a hole. And then the fact that my dad told me that the Lake Shawnee people said they weren't aware there was a deep hole there.
Yeah.
So, you know, because this was dredged out. This was not a natural lake.
Right.
And it was dredged.
Right.
And so,
Huh.
you know, before they filled it in,
Huh.
I'm sure they checked the bottom because
Right.
they knew they were going to make a swimming hole out of it.
That's a good point.
So,
I had
what
to-
made the hole, I don't know.
That's a good point. And a catfish would have had to drag you down by its teeth, right?
Right.
So
I didn't
you
feel
would,
that.
and
know.
you didn't have any marks.
No, nothing.
You would have had
Because,
something.
you know, I told my parents something pulled me under, and they kind of poo-pooed it, you know. But Dad reached down, and I wasn't there, so I don't know how far I had been pulled.
Thank you for sharing that with us. I can't imagine that just sounds really scary.
It was.
So you've had the property for a while, and just within the last couple of years, you've opened it up during the Halloween season for tours and a haunted house.
Well, we opened it up for quite a while, my son and my husband and myself. We just did like local things where we brought the people in
Now the Dark Carnival runs for a month,
the whole month of October,
the whole month of October,
the weekends.
on weekends, Friday and Saturday nights. And there have been some sightings. I mean, a lot of people who visit. Well, me, I don't know if I'm paranoid or what, but weird stuff's happening. But people come here and we're looking for proof. We're looking for evidence, and you see that a
Oh,
lot.
it does, yeah. It proves itself.
I think there's a lot going on in these, energy and the universe. There's a lot going on that we don't understand yet. I do believe that. So we'll see what happens. I've had one night here. I have a few more, and we'll see what we see. Can't wait to start editing and see what I see. Jewell, thanks for being my tour guide today. It's been fun.